comrades, today I will speak about very famous Netflix series named Squid Game. It is already the most popular series produced by Netflix. It was already seen by 140 million people all around the world. Yesterday I finished watching this series with my wife and I decided to make this video to talk about the very brutal South Korean capitalism. So I prepared a lot of images and I think that this presentation will be long. As you see, today it is the special day. I changed my background. Normally in my bag you can find the flag with Che Guevara. Today, in this special day, this is the flag of North Korea, of the DPRK. I made this flag because I think that this reality of brutal South Korean capitalism in the occupation of the US imperialism shown how this difference between these two countries, between socialist North Korea and this brutal violent capitalism in South Korea, which we can see in this series. So firstly, there are already some videos produced by leftists about this series. This morning I watched the movie of comrade from USA, comrade with Nicaraguan origin, Ramiro Sanchez or something like this. So he and she's partner and also the comrade from Korea make a good analysis of this video of this series. So my video will be a little different. I want to say some words about the historical background, the situation in Korea, to understand why the people in this series act like this. So I prepared some I want to compare the situation in the South Korea with the occupation in my country, in Poland, because I think that there are many similarities between Poland and North Korea. Of course, the most important similarities, it is the occupation. So I think that in the time of the Second World War, when Poland was occupied by Nazis, the Polish people made a lot of bad things, and with this we can understand this reality in this series. So firstly, I will. This is all this photo which I prepared. As you see, this is the Peninsula Korean, and for the people who don't know history, it's very important to say some word that North Korea, South Korea, this is the states which is divided since the Second World War. It was the Korean nation was firstly occupied by Japan. In the finish of the 19th century, Japan arrived in Korea. And after, in the time of the Japan occupation, especially in the Second World War, Japanese make a lot of crimes against this Korean people, and there were the resistance movement against the Japanese, and the most powerful force in this movement was, of course, the Korean communist. And after the Second World War, there was a decision that Korea will be divided to two zones. One zone controlled by the communist partisans, and we have alliance with Soviet Union. And in the south there will be United States. It is very important because it is that the South Korea before was occupied by Japanese, and because the partisan movements was controlled by communists, so the new occupants, the imperialists from the USA, they choose to use this Korean who collaborate with Japanese to create new country. And this new country, the South Korea, it is the states which is where the people who are ruling, we have the continuation, the Korean collaborated with Japanese imperialism, create a new country which now collaborates with the US imperialism, American imperialism. And we have to remember that the Japanese are responsible for a lot of crimes, and also Americans are responsible for a lot of crimes to the Korean nations. In the time of the war in Korea, there were more than 3 million people who were killed because of this occupation, because the reason of this war is that the Korean wanted to live in one country, one unified country without occupation. They organized this movement against occupation to get out all the occupied forces of Japanese imperialism, and they didn't wanted to change one imperialist forces to another imperialist forces. Unfortunately, the people from South Korea lost this, and this country is all the time occupied by Americans. And most of this occupied force, this dependence to US imperialism, we see also in this series, that all this cruel game, which is about the killing of poor people, it's only to make a pleasure for the rich guys from USA. There are few guys very very rich who came there to watch how the Korean people kill each other to make money, but it is to make it is to make pleasure to the American imperialist. So this is this background. I think that we can compare this with situation in my country, in history of my country. So in the time of the Second World War, maybe firstly I will show you some of the pictures. Of Warsaw. This is a Warsaw in the 1945. As you see, this city is totally destroyed. This city is totally destroyed because after the Warsaw Uprising, the Hitler decided that Warsaw have to be totally destroyed. And there are, in the time of the, for example, it is the famous old town. As you see, it's totally destroyed, and in this time since, I don't know, September 44 to January 45, when the Warsaw was liberated by the Soviet army and the Polish army of General Berling in 17 January 1945, Warsaw was liberated, but there was 3-4 months when Warsaw was destroyed. Most of the people go out from the city. They were arrested by Germans, but there are less thousands of Poles in this town without food, without shelter. Every building was destroyed because this building was not destroyed because of bombing. It was destroyed with methodic action that house after house was destroyed by the Germans and also by the Nazis from other nations, like Ukrainians, for example. Ukrainians from SS Galician, they destroyed Warsaw. So in this time, in the 3-4 months in Warsaw, there were not food, and there was nothing. Everything was destroyed. And there were a situation of cannibalism. There was a situation and the Polish people eating rats, eating all things which they can find, because if they knew that they couldn't left this city because German will arrest them and kill them. So this example of my town, because I was born in Warsaw, this example what people can do when they are in the time of occupation, how people change very, very quickly when they don't have food, when they have to fight one with each other to survive, and the episode of cannibalism in my city, when the Polish people to survive need to eat other Polish people who died, and it is very, very a lot of shame in this. And this history we can only understand when we understand what is the occupation. That occupation make people in the very difficult situation. They have to fight to survive. And we know this, and also in the time of Nazi occupation, we have situation that the Germans make games using the Polish people to in 27 September there was a presentation of movie about Auschwitz. I think that you know what is Auschwitz, but I will present you. It was a concentration camp built in the occupied Poland. Firstly, it was only for the Polish people. After, it was the place where the Jews from all over the Europe was sent and killed. So this movie which I show you, it's a history of the boxer Pietrzykowski, who was a prisoner of Auschwitz, he was also a boxer. And this movie is about this history when, in the beginning of this concentration camp in Auschwitz, he make a boxer fight in Auschwitz, and Germans have a lot of fun about this. So he fight with other prisoners, or he fight with the soldiers from SS, soldiers from Wehrmacht. Of course, it was not fair, because he couldn't train, he eat not good, and in front he fight with the people who are in good shape. But because he was a professional boxer before the war, he win all this battle, all this fight. But this reality, how in the territory which is occupied, where we have society divided to two kind of people: the people who have to fight each other to survive, and the occupants who have a lot of fun. They can kill whatever he wanted, or they can give food, they can give some gifts, and all this power make them satisfaction. So I suggest that people who like this Squid Game and want to understand more the situation, how in the occupied countries the people, what do they do to survive, you can watch this movie about this Polish boxer in Auschwitz. Okay, so this is this historic background, that I think that there are a lot of similarities between South Korea, which I want to remind you. This is a place occupied by the imperialist forces since the finish of the 19th century, so it is more than 120 years. All the time this place is occupied by the imperialist forces. Okay, so now there will be some photos from these movies. So maybe how to start this history. Maybe I will start this history for I will present some of the heroes of these movies and what is all about. So it is a movie about the brutal reality of South Korean capitalism, and in this and we see that this society is divided for the people very, very rich, and most of these people who are very, very poor. Very, very poor, and it is not a problem also only that they are poor. It is problem that they have debt. They have debt which they have to pay, and if they don't pay the debt, they will die. For example, the most important hero of this series, it's him. It's number 456, and he needs to give money to the mafia, Korean mafia. They said they gave him ultimatum. You have to pay debt in 1 month. If not, we will take your eye, and also we will take your kidney. And so you see how it is, what is the living of in the South Korean capitalism. That it's not only that you are poor. it is that because you are poor and you can't live, so normally in the Marxist analysis of the working class, we have this that the wage of the worker, it is amount which can reproduce the another generation of worker. But in this example, we see that it's complicated to reproduce the new generation of workers, because these workers not only are exploited, but also there are the mafia who try to kill them because of kidney, because of eye, because of other organs. First things which we see that this state, which is presented all the time in the propaganda, like example of big capitalist success. All the time they said that we have the crazy totalitarian North Korea regime, and we have success of South Korea capitalism. So they say that capitalism in South Korea is a big success. And because of this series and other of also productions from South Korea, we see what is this success. That this success is that the people in this society don't want to live. This game is maybe I will change the image. This is very important image. For the people who watch this series, they know what is this. The series is started by the game is started with a shock. The people who wanted to play game to win money, they didn't knew that they can die. They didn't knew. So they were shocked. They were shocked that they are in the prison. There are these red guards, and if you lose a game, you will be eliminated. Eliminated. You will be killed. So after this first game, when I think that half of the players were killed, because in the beginning there was 456 players, and after first game I think that half were killed. And now we have one of the most important scene in this movie. That there is rules that if most of the people want to stop the game, they can vote, and there are we see the election that people vote, so they can choose two options. And these two options for me is very symbolic, because it is symbolic in the capitalist democracy. Capitalist democracy, which we have also in Poland. In Poland we have two-party system. Of course, there are a lot of party. There are also our very very small party, Polish Workers' Party, but from more than 15 years, we have only two parties which all the time won the elections. to the parliament, to the presidential elections and local election. Only two parties are, so it is Platforma Obywatelska, Civic Platform, and Law and Justice, PIS. Now we have the PIS in the power. So what Polish people can choose? They can choose the liberals when all the transfer from the states, money transfer from the states will go to the rich. But these liberals are not very aggressive in the, they don't promote aggressively this Catholic Church, or they didn't delegalize abortion and stuff like this. They think only to make money. They think only about corruption. So this is of course, these people who are in this party or collaborated with this party are very dangerous. For example, in last week we have discussion in the media with one idiot professor idiot. His name is Matczak. He proposed that Polish have to work 16 hours a day. 16 hours a day. So you know, this party, it is a party of the liberal psychopaths. And the other choice is the Law and Justice, PIS, and they are crazy about religion, they are crazy about the abortion, but they gave a little money to the poor. So you know, there are not choice for Polish people. The choice is not existing, because we choose we have two options. All two options are bad. We can choose the psychopaths who propose you to work 16 hours a day, or we can choose psychopaths who want to delegalize abortion, make the churches in every the priests, Catholic priests, have to be in every school every day and stuff like this. There is no option. Another situation we have in United States, that we can choose between Republicans and Democrats. So there are not any difference between these parties. The difference are only cosmetics. And what is the choice for these players? They can choose play a game and died in this game, because it is sure that most of these people will die in this game. Or you can not play in the game, you can continue your living in brutal capitalism in South Korea, and you will be killed by mafia. So it is not a choice. So it is very important, these elections. Okay, one of the things which is when we watch this series, I don't know, it's only my analysis or it is analysis or every guy who watched this. It's very, very difficult to find in this series a positive hero. I find only one positive hero. It's this woman. From my perspective, he is a positive hero. Why she is positive? Maybe I will present another heroes. So the most important hero, it is the player 456. And he is a degenerate person. in the first episode we see this guy that he is all the time, he's addicted to hazard. So he's playing games all the time. He thinks only about the hazard, about how to find the games. He stole money from his mother. Because of this, his mother will die. So he is the degenerate. He forget about his family, about his daughter. He lose contact with her daughter. Another hero of this series, it is the lawyer. It is the lawyer who he was respected in the society because he is a lawyer, but it is a guy who stole a lot of money. This first guy, 456, he stole a little money only to play games. This second guy, he stole a lot of money, and there are police who want to take him to the prison. And I think that all people in this series which make their life in the South Korea, they are degenerate person who think only about money, and they can stole from families, they can because of their decision the members of their families can die. It's very difficult to me to watch this movie, and because it is normal that when you watch series, you want to identify yourself with somebody, but you can't identify in this series with somebody because all these people are very disgusting from my perspective. There is only one person which I didn't find any problem of them. This is this woman. She was manipulated by the South Korean imperialist propaganda. So she emigrated from North Korea to South Korea because she believed in all these lies that in South Korea there will be very rich life and rich happy life and stuff like this. I knew the history of Polish people who emigrated from socialist Poland. They emigrated to Western Germany, to France, to England, USA, and they emigrated because they believed in the lies that everybody in capitalism will be the second Jeff Bezos, will be the very rich, but most of these people from Polish immigration, lived in homeless, in poverty. They are degenerating. They drink alcohol all the time. So it is the very sad reality of Polish immigration. And it is also reality of this woman, that she flew the North Korea because she believed in lies, and when she came to South Korea, she saw that it's bullshit. And also she has a problem. She was accused that she is a spy of North Korea and stuff like this. So in the time of the game, I don't want to make all this history of this series, but in the time of this game there are 6 games, and very often the players they are in the very difficult psychological situation, that to survive they have to kill somebody else or make something that somebody else will die. And all these people from some South Korea, which are they lived in capitalist society, for them it was not a problem. the only person who didn't want to kill somebody else to survive was her, and she was she came from North Korea. For me it is something important. Okay, but in the time we need to understand. I want to say something more about this guy. The guy, the player 456, because he is the mainly hero of this series. And in the next episodes he says something about his past, and it is important because in the first episode, for me, he is only the degenerate person. But after we understand why he became the degenerate person, he said that he was a worker. He was a worker in the car industry, in the car factory, and he participated in the strike, very brutal strike in South Korean workers industry. And now, in the time when I make this video, there are also big strike. 500,000 people in Korea now are striking. So I want to give my solidarity for these workers from South Korea. Of course, I give my solidarity to all workers who are fighting for their rights in all over the world, and for all workers. It's obvious, but especially I want to make my solidarity with workers from South Korea which are now striking. And he says something about this strike. Not say, it was his dream that he remembered this violence, this police violence against the workers. It's very important that all the time when they speak about the difference between the two kinds of societies, socialism and capitalism, they lie about what is happening in capitalism. And the thing is very important that the state use police to make brutal repressions against workers. It's not very often that when we can find this information in the corporate media. And it is good job for the Netflix that he propagates this information that the workers in South Korea they were organized, they fight, and after they were beaten by the police, and after they became degenerate, addicted to hazard, and they have to sell their kidney or eye to survive, or go to the game and killing other poor people, because this game is about killing the poor. If you are poor, you have to die. You or some another member of poor, but for the rich who organize this game, it's not important who will win, who will die. It's only about the joy, and only about the they watch this with big pleasure, and also this success of this film, because in this series we find few very rich person who have who want to solve this violence. But the capitalism is a global system, and all these viewers, 140 million people in the world, watch this Netflix series to watch this violence. So it's show how this capitalist system is degenerated. That people in the society, they loved violence. They loved looking how one poor people kill another poor people. It's disgusting, and if we compare these societies, these brutal capitalist societies in all over the world, degenerated people who want to watch this violence, and when we compare this with the peaceful society of North Korea, I am proud that I am socialist. I am proud that I defend North Korea. I defend DPRK against the imperialism and also against the pseudo-leftist, the social democracy or the democratic socialist from imperialist countries, who together with CIA, together with imperialists, try to attack the DPRK. Okay, what else I can say? So the reality of this system, I already said this, but I want to say one more time. This is the history of this guy. It is history about all the class of the poor people in the South Korea. That we have the comparison with poor people in North and poor people in South. That old poor people. That old people in socialist state, if they are ill, they will be treated in the hospital for free because they are the citoyen, because they worked all their life, and when they are ill, the medical care is free. It's free for everybody, and it's not important how old you are. One of the reasons why the principal hero go to this game is to find money for medical care for his mother. So you see that he can die, but he risks his life to save life of his mother. But it's not a normal situation that the old people don't have the right to medical care, and it's very important. It's the fight of the medical care for everybody. It is one of the most important fight which we communists have to organize. In Poland, we have, in theory, medical care for everybody, but only in theory, because now we have two kinds of system. We have this old system which was created in socialism, that everybody has to right to medical care, but in reality, if you are ill and you want to go to the specialist, to medicine doctor specialist, you have to wait a lot of time, and in the time when you are waiting, you died, and it is the problem. So you have to, if you want to be not die, you have to pay in the private sector. And so we see how this private sector is growing and is growing and growing, and people who work, people who are the proprietor of this of the private medical care are very, very rich. If we have a game and we can compare the North Korea with South Korea, that medical care, it is 1-0 to the North. And we can continue this, but in every comparison, the DPRK is better than South Korea. I am talking about the normal people. What else? I forget it to prepare some things, so I will. This is another important hero from this series. If I am not mistaken, maybe I am not mistaken, but he is, I think he is also the director of this series. So he is not only one of the most important actor, but also he is somebody who this. So in this movie, he is the friend of this principal hero, friend from the childhood. They played this game together when they were child, but he chose another way of life. The player 456, he became a worker, and after he became a degenerate, addicted to hazard, and he became a lawyer. He became a respectful citoyen of the society, and we see that all this hypocrisy that other people in this area, they respect him. They respect him only because his comportment, they think that he's a lawyer, so he is a good person, but in the reality he's one of the most disgusting person in all this series. The things which he made, he is a traitor. All the time he betrays somebody. He betrays somebody who trusts him. It's very very ugly person in the moral perspective, and it is I think that it is information for us. Don't trust a lawyer. That workers have to be divided from this hypocrite to who wants to become a member of this other class. What else? We have some from this series. I discovered some very important information. I didn't knew about this. That there are a lot of Christian propaganda in South Korea. I didn't knew that it is so strong. In every episode, I think we can find some of the Christian propaganda. There are some people who are believed in Jesus, the players, and also people in the streets. And it's very interesting that there is one situation that when they survived after the game, and one of the idiot who all the time they speak, it's because of Jesus, it's because our Lord, and he start to pray. Another people from South Korea say to him, shut your mouth. We don't your religious propaganda. And only one person who was tolerating his religion was this woman from North Korea. So we see that North Korea, they are not religious person, but they respect people who are religious. They don't attack them. Okay, I will read you something with one book which now I am reading. So wait a few seconds. Okay, I am back. So my wife, I was, I watched in the past very often. I watched the speeches of the Professor Richard Wolff in the YouTube channel Democracy at Work. Now I stopped watch him. I watched another things, but of course it's not that I don't like him or not, but I don't have time. Sometimes I watched, but there was a time that I watched every new episode. He makes something like economic update, and 1 year I think that I watch every week new episodes, and also he make big speeches one time in the year, in month. And one time he presented a book, very interesting from my perspective. I will show you this book. No, maybe I will be a little bigger now. We will make this flag bigger, DPRK flag. So this is this book. So the Christine R. Gotzi, Why Women Have Better Sex Under Socialism, and Other Arguments for Economic Independence. So I watched the discussion with this, the Richard Wolff discussion with Christine Gotzi, and also the wife of the Professor Richard Wolff make some videos about this subject. So I tell my wife about this, and they buy this book. So they buy this book. She buy it in Amazon. She didn't already read, because this book is now in my house. So I started to reading. Interesting. Also, I want to recommend you the video which will be tomorrow in our channel with Professor Bruno Drwęski. It will be about the woman question and the sexual minority question in the Soviet Union. I was in my inspiration for this discussion with Professor Bruno is this book. So I will read you some joke from this book, because it's very good joke. So I will read. Maybe before this joke, I will read some words, some sentence. Older citizens of Eastern Europe fondly recall the small comforts and predictability of their life before 1989, free education and health care, no fear of unemployment, and of not having money to meet basic needs. A joke told in many East European languages illustrated this sentiment. And now I will read this joke. It is page 12 and 13 in this book. In the middle of the night, a woman screams and jumps out of bed, eyes filled with terror, Her startled husband watches her rush into the bathroom and open the medicine cabinet. She then dashes to the kitchen and inspects the inside of the refrigerator. Finally, she flings open a window and gazes out onto the street below the apartment. She takes a deep breath and returns to bed. "What's wrong with you?" her husband says. "What happened?" "I had a terrible nightmare," she says. "I dreamed that we had the medicine we needed, that our refrigerator was full of food, and that the streets outside were safe and clean. How is that a nightmare?" The woman shakes her head and shudders. "I thought the communists were back in power." So I think that this example shows the difference between two societies. One society where in the DPRK, where everybody have a normal life without thinking that he have to play a game where he will be treated like a horse in the course, because there is this example in this that this principal hero, he was addicted to the course with horses, and after he became a horse in the other course. So it is the sad reality of the poor people in the capitalist countries. And in the socialist country, which is not perfect, we need to understand that the imperialism made everything to destroy this system. There are the economic sanctions, there are the military pressure. Because of the military pressure, the society of the DPRK is militarized, and everybody shown, there are a lot of soldiers in DPRK, that because there are the soldiers, it is totalitarian society. No. There are the soldiers because the USA are the military bases in South Korea. They already killed in the Korean War 3 million people from Korea, and all the time every president of United States, he sometimes make military pressure to DPRK. It's funny that in the best president in this in the relations, the best was in the time of Trump. Trump tried to make a normal situation with DPRK, but now we seen very big pressure of the imperialist states in the Chinese Sea, that they are create this AUKUS alliance, that USA, Australia, UK, and also there is the Quad alliance with China, with Japan, with India. All this against China, but also I think that also against North Korea. So they make this economic and military pressure, and of course the situation in DPRK is not perfect. But from the perspective of the normal citizen in these two kinds of society, I don't want to say that the people in DPRK are, I don't know, very rich. I want to say that maybe their situation economic is not very they are not millionaires, but they are not in the situation that they have play a games which the games will be treated like animals in like I don't know, cocks, horses, or another, or dogs, another animals who participate in games like this, that they fighting one against another. So I think that it will be all for in this episode. I think that this series, it's very important to start the discussion about the capitalism, because of course somebody can say, it's not true, it's only a vision, but it's only a vision from of the cinema vision. It's not true. So we have to discuss what is true, what's not true. Maybe the games like this, the people are in prison and they played, and maybe it is only a symbol, but the generation of people who are in debt, because this is the problem. It is not a problem that you are poor. It is the problem that you have to pay debt to the bank, or debt to the mafia, or debt, I don't know, for example, but it push you to become a slave. You are a slave, somebody who you own, you owe the money. And we see then in the next last years, like last 10-20 years after fall of the Soviet Union, we have explosion of all these credits, all these debts in the Western countries. The American population, the people have to pay loans for the university, for the buying houses, for medical care, and especially now when we have this COVID crisis. Wait, because my cat is here, and I will say some to my wife. Sorry for this interruption. It is my cat who he wants to go out from the houses. Now he go out in the night and played with another cats. It's and if we do not open door for him, he make a noise, like maybe you heard. So this series, we need to start a very, very serious discussion about the poverty in the capitalist countries, because it is something that it's not very often in the discussion. Most of these cinema productions, all these movies are about the rich people who have big career. I don't know, Batman, he's a guy from the very rich class, or the Iron Man, also he's very, very rich. And so we have all these histories of the very rich, very powerful people, or the dynasty. There was a series like this, very popular in Poland in the 1990s. But so it is something similar to the feudal society. In feudal society, the aristocracy was a little minority, but all these chronics, all these books was only about the knights, only about this aristocracy, about kings, and never about the working people, never about the peasants. So when we have this, when we have something that the people who are they are poor, and why they are poor, what is this people, and it is only also important to Marxist movement to understand what is a mentality of poor people, because sometimes the people who don't have contact with working class. I am worker. I worked. I am a Pole who emigrated to France, and I worked in the warehouse, frozen warehouse, with another immigrants, especially from Africa, from Maghrebin countries, Algeria, Tunisia, Morocco, and the countries like Senegal, Mali, Congo, Cameroon. So, not also they are the immigrants from other countries. So I know the working class, and I don't have idealistic approach to the working class. That people, especially very often the students, they read some, I don't know, 1 or 2 books of Karl Marx, and now they think that the working people are only wait for the people from the vanguard party to start the revolution, and the workers every day think how to make a communist revolution and liberate themselves from the exploitation. But it's not like this, that the working people very often are degenerated by the ideology of the capitalist system. In my factory, they are degenerated also by hazard. All the time they talk about football. All the time they talk about the Champions League or about the French league. Today you will make your money to PSG or Barcelona or Manchester or Bayern, and conversation like this. And when they win, they are very, very happy. When they lose, they are very, very sad. They don't have the class conscience. They have the conscience that they want to be rich. They want to be parasites. That they don't identify themselves with working class. They think that if one day they will have chance, they will be a member of the upper class. But there are a situation when the people can unite themselves, and we also see this, see how the people unite to one fight in this series. That people who don't like each other to survive, to win, they have to collaborate with others. And it is the question how to make this unification, because every people are different. Some is very religious, some is the member of mafia, some is the, I don't know, another problem. But there were a time where they have to unify themselves to fight. Okay, I think that it will be finished for today. So thank you for watching. I invite you to make a comments, and if there will be comments, critical comments to my analysis, maybe I will make a second movie and discuss with you. If you are not agree with my analysis, I am very open to continue this discussion, to promote this series, because I think that of course people in the Western countries, they watch this series because of blood, but it is possible that this blood, this aggression, this brutal South Korean capitalism, it can start the discussion about the system. And this discussion about the system without propaganda, because all this, 70 years of the South Korean propaganda making that South Korea is a big success and everybody in South Korea live in happiness, it's not true. We see that there are the brutal state, poor people, the biggest amount of the suicide in the OECD country, and the statistic of this country are terrible. And why it is that one of the most successful capitalist country? Because South Korea, it is successful country. There are a lot of successes like Samsung and another corporation from South Korea, which are one of the most important players in the world capitalism. So this state have a lot of successes, and normally when you think the state is rich, so the population also will be rich and happy. And it's not like this. The state or the corporation are rich, and the people have to play games and kill one of each other to survive. Thank you, comrades.